All right, good evening. My name is Isaiah Barco, and I am giving a video summary of my paper, The Impact of Booker T. Washington, as well as John Dewey. Now, Booker T. Washington was a graduate of the Hampton Institute, now known as Hampton University. He was the founder and first president of the Tuskegee Institute, now known as Tuskegee University. His main philosophy was basically in the view of mostly for African Americans, as he himself was an ex slave. So, of course, he's going to have a particular way of looking at things. See, his philosophy he preached was basically of self help, as well as racial solidarity and accommodation. Basically, he was in layman's terms, he was encouraging African Americans, or they're called blacks or Negroes at times, basically to accept discrimination temporarily while elevating themselves through hard work and material prosperity. Now, this was obviously met with much backlash from other philosophers who were black, such as W. E. B. Du Bois. And while, yes, there are many controversies that come with his viewpoints, he, in layman's terms, laid the groundwork for many African Americans, people of color, when it comes to seeing black people in the world of CTE or agriculture. For example, we see over the years due to the groundwork he has laid down, others followed, or others within his same field, have increased the number of African Americans looking for CTE programs, which today would be called as STEM programs. We also see many more African Americans today actually showing more interest within agriculture as well. And we see many of the people who are encouraging people to come back to agriculture come from the Tuskegee Institute, now known as Tuskegee University. So we see his impact being seen decades upon decades later. And while, yes, we did not see the same racial equity that he was hoping would come later on if we were just tolerant and kept moving, we do see that his work has come and has laid the groundwork for many others to come. As for John Dewey, he is much different from Booker T. Washington. You see, John Dewey was born in Vermont, and also it was during the industrial age. So also much of a time and relevant place. But we see him. He was seeing that many people who are in CTE programs were not properly prepared for the field or occupation, as he would call it. So we see him going ahead and actually creating a theory which is known as pragmatism. So we see basically he was trying to basically make education worthwhile and basically cutting out anything that was unnecessary for the learning. So we see him go ahead and start with the experiment to elementary school on the University of Chicago. We see him go ahead and see them do things such as like some like shop, for example. We see him doing like sewing, many things that they would be beneficial for them to actually be within the workplace, or things skills they would obviously need as they got older, as they got obviously throughout school and obviously after school was completed. We see him go ahead and basically believe that it was best to make it learnable, make it relatable to everyone within the classroom, regardless of skin color or economic background, which today he is seen as as a social leader when it comes to diversification within the work field. Another thing that he preached on was basically teach what was necessary and cut out anything that was not necessary. Something that we even see today being pushed by many students who are looking to, within college or in high school. Today we see his impact by seeing more and more people trying to take this approach of teaching what's necessary rather than what's not. We see this within CTE fields or STEM. We see many, let's say for college, for example, we see many college fields go ahead and trying to get their students immediately within courses that relate to what they'll be doing or courses that will help them better prepare for that field of work. We see the same thing happen within agriculture. Me, myself, I'm an agricultural student. So we see, when I first came into school, first thing they did was give us an agricultural classes that would relate best to my major. While it was not in my major related to it, it allowed me to go ahead and gain some basic knowledge that would better help me progress in my classes, and as the years went on, better prepare me for the workforce. We see this once again happening as well with him trying to as I said earlier, push for equity within all social classes. That is evidence of as well as many more people who come from poor families or those who we consider lower middle class begin to pursue these majors, something that was not evident at that time. So we see that his impact has a global, not global, I'll say a nationwide impact. While Booker T. Washington had more, possibly you would say, first started with more a regional impact, which eventually grew into a national impact. And while I would say there are many other philosophers who have left an impact in this world, I personally not believe personally believe that the main two who left the impact in general come from Booker T. Washington as well as John Dewey.